We'll just give everyone a minute to join.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm gonna start welcoming us, even though I'm not the host of the show today. Miriam is. But I'm just gonna go over our tech again and one quick thing before we jump in. So today we have Shuki in the chat, you guys. So if you have any questions, he'll be guiding you and helping you out there. Um, you also have the Q&A at the bottom. Um, and and before, well, no, first I think I'm like, which do I do first? Do I introduce Miriam first? Do I talk about what's going on first? I don't know. We'll do them both somehow together. So um, I guess first I'll introduce you, Miriam. So hi, everybody. It's our last day. This is crazy. I cannot believe we've gone through an entire week. And of course, we had to have a session that I got to share. Um, I'm just so grateful to have it now after this week because it's been amazing hearing all of our speakers. So I asked my dear friend Miriam, who we're all going to get to know a bit today, if she would do me the honor of interviewing me at the Health Now Summit. And Miriam is someone who herself has overcome so much, so I knew she'd be like a good fit for our audience. She can relate to you guys. She gets it. And we're both wearing her brand, Mika Fashion. You guys saw me wearing it yesterday also. Um, and this is all based on the concept of kintsugi art, which is from Japan, if I'm not mistaken, right? And they
Mhm.
take a vase or a vessel, and when they break it, they put it back together and they paint gold over the cracks. And the idea is that makes us more beautiful. And so Miriam wrote a book called Heal with Gold, which I read maybe my like first month in New York. And for those who know the story, or for those who don't know the story, I'll say I had no idea I was moving to New York. I was staying with friends. I was staying with our good friend, Folly Klein. And she was like, Hilly, you have to read this book. And it was on the shelf in the room I was staying in. I read it within like a few hours, like in one afternoon. It was like, this is amazing. And I went to Folly. I was like, I have to meet this woman. So you guys go get the book, Heal with Gold. It's profound. And she took this idea of kintsugi and said, this is us. This is all of us. We go through challenges, we go through tribulations. This is how we become. This is what actually makes us who we are and makes us more beautiful. And this is why I love this brand. Um, and why it seemed like the perfect person to ask. So, Miriam, I cannot thank you enough for doing this today. Thank you.
It's my pleasure and my honor. I love you. I believe in everything that you do. I was the beneficial, from your wisdom helped me so much, which is, I'm happy to share that throughout this interview. And I want to apologize that I'm on the phone. It's not that I'm on the road and decided to stop and do this interview, but Comcast, thank you, Comcast, is down on my area. So I need to use cellular, and I just came to a quiet place. But I am so glad to be here and sharing this special moment with you and sharing who you are and what you do with your community. I'm sure they know, but maybe they'll get to know even more and join your workshops and drink everything that you provide and serve this world with.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yeah, I think we're gonna have fun today. I think we're gonna have fun in this conversation. Um,
Yes,
so so
yes, yes, we are. You wanted to mention, yeah. No, you
um
wanted to talk about today.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna just touch base on that. And also, Miriam, just so you know, you're coming in and out a little bit. So I don't know.
I am.
Um, now you're fine. Now you look much clearer. Yeah, it was freezing before. I don't know if there's any solution to that, but we'll roll with whatever comes.
I
Um,
can
yeah,
drive.
you could drive. Yeah, that sounds dangerous. Um, yeah, as Miriam was saying, I do want to talk about today. Today is a day that I felt like it'd be the elephant in the room if we did not address what happened today, which is that the bodies of four hostages were given to Israel, my Hamas, Oded Lifshitz, Shira Bibas, Kfir Bibas, and Ariel Bibas. Um, So it felt odd to know that we are in a state of mourning. Certainly the Jewish people, to me, I think the whole world should be in a state of mourning. This is a huge stain on humanity, and in the history of the world. So I felt like it'd be odd to not mention it. So I want to mention it, and what I want to say um, is that this journey that we have been on this week and the time that we're going to spend together over the next hour um, is really one of the only things that we can do in response to this, right? We're not there, and if we're not showing up to this family's home, to pay our respects. So what else do we do? If you're not there to put dirt on the grave, and we sort of our response is to live full out. Our response is to make our life as meaningful as possible, as intentional as possible, as purposeful as possible, to do everything that we can to make every moment count. And so I want to dedicate this session to them, to the hostages that haven't been released yet, and this entire summit. If the one person heals from this, like that is, I remember when this all first started right after October 7th, and a lot of people felt like guilty, like, how can I be living my life when there are hostages? And I said, no, but imagine how they are feeling. They don't have those opportunities. They would want you to go live. They would want you, please go do this while I'm stuck. Like, go enjoy, go to the birthday party, go do this. So this to me is like the greatest way that we can respond while most of us, while we feel so helpless. I mean, I think there's a lot more we can do than we realize, but I didn't want that to just kind of be sitting here today as like it just doesn't get mentioned. So I think it's important that we acknowledge it.
Yes, I'd like to add something because I think it's really a part of building resilience. There is a commandment in the Bible that says, and I'll say it in Hebrew and translate it, mitzvah gdola liot besimcha tamid, which is, it is a huge commandment. It's a huge thing that we need to do, to be joyful always, to be happy. And I always question, how can we be commanded to be happy, right? How, it's a feeling, it happens. How can we be commanded to be happy? And after a lot of some research, but more within me, the answer that I came to is that it takes practice to see the good within bad things, to find a way to feel gratitude for what is good. And I think that when we look at health, all everything that we feel, that we eat, that we see, that we experience, right? How we sleep, every part of our being contributes to our best state of health.
Mhm.
And we can't find reasons to be grateful. Everything is okay. All the health, it affects our health, our mental state, every part of our health. It may be physical, spiritual, mental, goes away. So how do we find gratitude here? How do we find a way to be joyful in such a sad moment? And I think that this is part of the work that we have to do in general. It's not something that happens in minutes. It's not something that is easy, but I can share with your community something that I read in one of the books of Dr. DeMartini. I had the honor also to interview him. He has a book called The Gratitude Effect. And in that book, he shares that he landed somewhere in Asia right after September 11th happened. And he said to himself, he heard what happened, and he said, I will not leave this airport until I write down 100 things that I could be grateful for within this tragedy. And he sat down at the airport and wouldn't leave until he had 100 things. So I think that it's a job, right? That's why it's a commandment to be happy, because it is
Yeah.
something that takes work, it takes effort, it takes commitment. And I think that this is what you are all doing at this amazing summit, Health Now. Health Now, how now can we feel healthy and vibrant and happy and, with all of this goodness? This is something that we can learn from Kaley and for sure adapt to our lives. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about your history so you can share. You started because you had a health issue, which I'm sure you already shared with your community, and you can talk a little bit more about that. But you started exploring unconventional modalities. And a lot of people feel there's only one way: you go to the doctor. That's
Hmm.
it.
Yeah.
When you don't get the answers that you're looking for, you may go to another doctor, but you feel stuck, you feel unheard, unlistened to. But that's not the case. We know better. We know that there's, like I always say there's many covers to a pot, right? There's many ways to find solutions. So tell me about your journey. How did you start exploring the modalities, and how did you accept that you were going to move away from the conventional into the unconventional?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll talk about that in a second. I'm thinking, Miriam, let's try just to increase your bandwidth because we're getting it very choppy. Try turning off your video and let's see if then we'll be able to hear you better.
Okay.
But while you're doing that, I'm gonna jump in on this. So it's interesting because in one way, it wasn't so far-fetched for me to start to explore alternative options. Um, because when I was first diagnosed, I was extremely, like, I was very, very sick. I was very sick. I could barely walk. I couldn't go to the bathroom on my own. I couldn't open my eyes. If I opened my eyes, I was sick to my stomach because my eyes were like rapidly moving right to left. This was just going on and on and on. And meaning that time felt endless in that state. And the doctors weren't really offering much. Um, and my parents were desperate. My parents are really desperate. And so they took me to a naturopath. This is the irony of it all. I think everyone here is going to be really shocked by this. But I was so against it. I was so against it. I thought my parents were crazy. And I was yelling. I was like, you guys are taking me to a quack doctor. This is ridiculous. Like, I just thought that they were nuts, that they had lost it, that like we needed to just, keep trusting the doctors, even though they weren't saying anything. But this is what I was always taught. And I think in most situations they would have also just trusted the medical system, but they were desperate. And one person, really, God bless her, she changed our lives. Sari Katz said, You need to go to this naturopath. Like, you need to start going outside of conventional options." And I could barely walk in. I mean, literally, my father carried me in to this guy's office. And by the time it was over, like by the time that first session was over, I was like ready to run a marathon. I was like, okay, wow, body's back. I feel great. Um, and so I continued to see this practitioner. His name is David Walker. No idea where he is today. Um, and he told me that would happen. He told me that he might disappear one day, and that happened to a lot of practitioners like this. Um, and And so I continued to see him over the years and try things like acupuncture and yoga and different things. And when there was a crisis, I would double down on these things. So if I woke up, when I was in college one day, I woke up blind in one eye. I went into acupuncture every single morning for like 2 weeks, and they would just line my eyes, okay, like all the way around my eyes with needles. It saved my eyesight. So many moments throughout my journey, I was still going to my doctors, I was still going to neurologists, I was still on medication. I was sitting on panels talking about medical research, you guys. But when push came to shove, I would go beyond. So I already had a lot of experience that like there are other ways to get relief. Just the thing was that none of those things ever got me full, long-lasting relief. It would be I'd get better for a week, for a few weeks, maybe even a few months. And then sure enough, symptoms would come back and I'd be really sick again. So I had never really saw it as it still sort of felt to me like a temporary intervention. And then, but at the same time, I think really opened my eyes and my mind to what else is possible. And then way later, in my 20s, I really got to a stage where it was just like, enough is enough. I could not handle one more day. Um, Waking up in the unknown, one more day waking up with symptoms and that like lack of certainty. And the weird thing is, and we all know, and today's a really huge reminder of that, there is no such thing as certainty. None of us know what tomorrow holds, right? I think everybody here is a testament to that. Um, and yet there's something about having a diagnosis that like makes you fear that even more. And I had this one was like enough, I have to find another way. And that conviction really opened the doors to finding pathways to much more like long lasting solutions. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes total sense. Did you try all of these different modalities? Like, okay, we know acupuncture, yoga. Did you
Mhm.
do tapping, EMDR? I mean, there are so many different modalities. And did you find that one thing helped you more than another, or it was what you developed after trying everything that brought you the healing that you experience today?
Yeah, so in terms of modalities, like you guys have been hearing so many modalities this week. The only ones that really move the needle for me, um, I've tried so much. I've tried so much. Um, but what really, really ultimately ended up moving the needle was tapping. Okay, so we heard from Pearl this week, you guys, and you heard from my therapist, Shelly. She's the one who taught me tapping, like how to tap for myself. She didn't train me to be a practitioner, but she taught me how to tap for myself. Tapping moved the needle the most. Tapping and then meditation actually. So I think what's interesting as you asked that, Miriam, is like I wanted everyone here to get exposed to all these incredible modalities. But I didn't necessarily go to them. I didn't go to a biological dentist. We just knew early enough to make sure I didn't get any mercury fillings. Like, you know, it just it but I did that with a regular dentist, not necessarily a biodentist. Like there's all these things that like we were all exposed to this week, even nutrition. Like, okay, yeah, I've definitely I had so many moments throughout 18 years of living with active disease that I adjusted diet. Most of my childhood and adolescence, I was on a very, very strict diet. Did it help? I mean, I hope so. I hope that means that, that prevented further inflammation. Um, but at the end of the day, what really changed everything was doing the inner work. Wasn't about a modality, and that's why I think tapping made such a difference because it was about moving emotions out of my body, learning to feel my feelings, and in that process, becoming me, like becoming the real me, is really ultimately, I think, what had to happen for my body to start to heal.
Mhm. You talk about vessel of healing. I love that. Well, maybe because it means so much to me in the kintsugi world, right? You even described kintsugi as a vessel falling and then breaking and us putting it together.
Yep.
And right? It was interesting, the use of language. Also, if you see the cover of my Heal with Gold book, there is a vessel there that had been broken, and I share that the reason I chose that graphic was that because I viewed myself always as a vessel, and I always as a vase, kind of a vessel, like if you imagine the shape.
Mm,
And I felt that I held water, and this water gave energy to my children. And when
mm,
I felt broken, I felt that I couldn't be that vessel that brought life and security and safety for my kids. So when
mm,
I felt broken, I couldn't be that mother that I wanted to be, which was a very interesting process, because I used to define myself as a mother. I no longer do it. I define
mm,
myself as a child, as a daughter of God. And
mm,
the job of motherhood, I find it that it's very temporary. We're given a gift to pass on certain things to our children, but we are children our entire lives. And
mm.
that's when we forget that we need to take care of this inner child. So this whole concept of vessel of healing means so much to me. Tell me
Oh.
about it. How did you start speaking in that way, what it means, and share it with the viewers here.
First of all, what you just shared was so powerful. Like, that is so powerful that we're always children because really our whole job this whole lifetime is to take care of that inner child. It's, if you're not doing that, like we're just in reaction. We're not really functioning. That was just so, so beautiful. I love that. I love that. I think what I learned through my own healing process is that the reason that, the acupuncture would do something amazing, like save my eyesight, but then not get to the root cause, and then I would still wake up with symptoms weeks later. Um, what I realized is that I wasn't in a place to fully receive healing. I wasn't in a place to get the full benefit of whatever healer I went to or whatever modality I tried, because I was still living in illness identity. I had tons of fear, not that I knew about, right? It took me a long time to discover all of this, but I had tons of fear about who who am I without MS? Who am I when I'm not the poster child for fundraising for the MS Society or for my own nonprofit? I had my own nonprofit organization, YAMS, Youth Against MS. This is what I grew up. I was a CEO at 14 years old of a national nonprofit organization with chapters all over the country. Like MS became my identity. And um, and what I didn't realize until much later is that I was trying to get better, but I also had these beliefs that were blocking me from getting better. That like this mindset that like I didn't know what healthy was going to look like. What was I going to do? What was going to be the purpose and meaning of my life? I love public speaking. What was I going to talk about? Which is so ironic as we sit here, right? Like, like the moments I felt closest to God at that stage of my life was when I was standing in front of an audience. Now it's very different. Even though I do love this, you guys, I love this, but this is this is this is like I'm just doing what I'm told. So I also feel very close to God, but like it's very different than like a deep, intense spiritual experience. That for me is like one-on-one in a session is like it's just it's a totally different experience. But anyways, to come back to what you're saying is like we have to reprogram our minds and reprogram ourselves to even be able to ourselves to be able to receive the healing. And so I find that that's always the first step is like we you guys heard from Dr. Curtolo this week, go see him, absolutely go see him. And he even said this himself, right? If there's any part of you that doesn't believe in your full healthy life and isn't ready to step into that, something's going to pop up somewhere. And I saw this not just in myself, but then I also started seeing it one on one when I started working with clients. and realizing, okay, the most important step, this is what it is, this is what the process to healing is first become that vessel. Sometimes that's enough. Sometimes reprogramming the mind, reprogramming the cells, it is safe to be healthy. I can receive this. It is safe to be a person who is healthy and not only getting affection, let's say through symptoms or something like that. And I mean, there's so much I could say on this. I think you guys can hear that. But what I realized that some people, just that alone is what allows them to heal. And then others, now they're the vessel. Now it might even be the medication. Now they receive that same intervention, that same treatment, world of difference. It's profound, but we have to be in that state of receiving. We have to have a vessel to receive that healing. And that healing is always available to us. We just have to be a match for that. And I know it's hard for a lot of people to hear, but like most of us are not. And we're in a system that I'm sorry I'm going on so long, Miriam, but like you got me on like a passionate point here. But most of us are in a system we were like sort of programmed and trained to double down on illness more, 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 more. It's like if I called the neurologist and I was like, I need an appointment, like something is going on, I'm having symptoms. Okay, you can have an appointment in 4 months, 6 months, right? Can you like, I'm sure plenty of you have been in that situation. So then I'd be like, no, my legs are on fire. I can't see. Like I would have to just make that even louder. Guess what? Then my body hears that and creates it. But I and then I'll get the appointment tomorrow. So we're in a system that like, and this is just the doctor. What about everything else in our lives? Work, everything, relationships. I was reinforced for things being much, much worse
Mhm.
and got my needs met through symptoms. So it's like it's a huge deprogramming of everything we were sort of trained into in living with illness. Does this make sense?
Total sense. I want to also say something that may help some people understand this. I'm a very visual learner, and sometimes I need an example because the whole concept of changing the mindset so you are a vessel for healing, you will become very like, but what? Like you have no idea on how to make that happen. And I one way that I was able to understand the frequency that we are in and how to change it is to think about a radio station. If you want
Mhm.
to listen to jazz and you put on Brazilian samba, and I'm Brazilian, and I'm usually going to be listening to samba. But if I want to listen to jazz and it's samba that's playing, I'm not going to get the jazz, no matter how much I pray for that specific melody to come in, right? This is the same way with the frequency in which we are with our mindset. If our
Mm,
mindset is set up as I'm ill right now, I'm sick, I'm not healing, I'm tired, I'm old, I'm exhausted, I don't, my muscles ache. Well,
mhm,
you're not going to hear and feel vitality
mhm.
because you are in that radio station that's
Right.
bringing. So I can also tell everybody that my husband had the 2 strokes and
I wish
very
we could see you while you share this. Can you try your video again? This is so important what you're sharing. I'm sorry to
let me
interrupt you. It's such a critical moment, but
no problem. Let's see if I can figure
especially
this
if you're
out.
going to share about your husband, I want us to be able to see you. We'll try it.
Okay, let's try it.
Let's
So
try.
so my husband has a very complicated medical history, let's put it this way. And after the strokes, he would not have one conversation with people without mentioning, I'm sorry, I may not remember your name because I had 2 strokes, because he lost memory. So
Mm,
walked, and this is still work in progress. So he still walks around life defining himself as this sick person who had the strokes, who had this rare tumor. Now he's having all kinds of other things. And I keep telling him, when you're saying that, you are attesting that, you're signing on the bottom, and this is how you are defined. You're defined by the illness. You're defined
mm,
yourself, your whole life for this part of your experience. but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to. You can define yourself as a victor, as a healthy person, as a thin that walks straight, who moves around. It's a choice, right? Just that's the choice in which radio station we are listening to. So one part that I find it very hard is that people say, well, I don't want to lie. I don't want to say, when people ask me, how do you feel? You don't want to say, oh, I feel amazing, when you don't, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because suddenly we have so much integrity that we
Yeah.
have to be so accurate, you
I know.
know? But really, this is what we're attracting and calling.
Right.
And then can we, and then going back to the beginning of the session in which we said, can we really take the time to find 100 good things
Mhm.
within in our bad story, and then
Mhm.
focus on those, and this is what Dr. Demartini did, and it was a huge lesson for me. And I started having a lot of difficulty falling asleep, and I said, what am I going to do to solve this problem? And I started saying gratitude, meaning it's rapid fire, grateful things that I'm grateful, things that I'm grateful for that happened to me that specific day. Not, oh, I'm walking, I'm hearing. No, little things that happened to me that day. So you really need to start being focused on all the good things that happen to you throughout the day, because at night you're going to need to be able to mention those things, right? You're going to need to have that list. Now,
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you what happened. It's like it's like the bad juju in the world doesn't want you to be so grateful. You fall asleep in 3 seconds. Oh, you're going to say gratitude right now? No, 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 go to sleep. It takes time and effort. Hold on a second. Time and effort to really think about what you're grateful for and
Mhm.
make a point to share it, to say
Mhm.
it, to speak it. And when you decide to be focused on what you are grateful for and the good and the blessings that you have, you become that vessel for healing,
Yes.
in my opinion, because
Yes.
suddenly you're not defining yourself by every tragedy, but you're defining yourself by the potential of all the
Yeah.
goodness that you can hold in your vessel and be and become.
Oh, what you're saying is like I feel it. I feel it in my body, what you're saying, and it's so real. And gratitude is probably the easiest tool people can use to start to heal today. Right now, it's here. It's like you could just do it on your own. You don't need to call any of the experts who spoke this week. I mean, it is a tool, it is a muscle. You do have to build it, you do have to grow it. It's not easy as you're saying, and there's so many people who teach on this. But what you're describing, I mean, it's the reason this works is on a few levels, right? Where your thoughts are, the Baal Shem Tov teaches us, he's a like a Jewish mystical teacher. I keep his one of his books, I keep it right next to me all the time. And he's a master of mind body healing. Um, and he says, wherever your thoughts are, that's where you are. And so if I'm in everything that's going wrong, right? The famous phrase, right? I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. The problem that I wish someone had told me this when I was 12 and diagnosed is like, just don't say this one line. Because if you keep saying this one line, your body can only continue to create that. But if you wake up every day and is like, and this was my mom and I would go through a practice when I was first diagnosed, or when I first had symptoms before I even had a diagnosis. Every morning, she'd come next to my bed, and we'd go like body part by body part. We'd start with my toes. The last thing would be my eyes, and notice what's working, what's not working. And so, literally to this day, thank God everything's working. To this day, my morning routine before I'm even out of bed is noticing everything that's working and saying thank you for that. Were there days throughout my life that there were things that were not working? Yes. But you have to double down on the gratitude for what is working. And the thing is that physiologically there's a response to that. So not only does it feel better, this is, people always come at me like, but how can I be grateful when this is going wrong and this is going wrong? And that's great. Doesn't it just feel better? Don't you just feel happier going through your day focused on what's going well? Like, doesn't that just feel better? And I'm not saying ignore feelings on other fronts. Like this is also what I teach. You need to learn how to process whatever you're feeling. That's what we did in the beginning of the session. We're all mourning. Let's acknowledge this. Let's not pretend. We're not going to pretend that everything's fine. We're going to be with that and be real about it, right? And then I direct my mind to that gratitude. Physiologically, our body responds. Cells look so beautiful in a beautiful symmetry when you express gratitude. And then the body is its own entity. And this is also very foreign for people. We have to think of our body as a separate entity. Think about a partner, a friend, a child who all you're ever doing is focusing on what they're doing wrong. But then think about when you focus on what they did right. Maybe it was one thing the entire week, and you're like, wow, thank you so much. You cleaned up after yourself. That child is going to be like, oh, mom liked that. Like, I'll do more of that. Like, because all they want is our, our approval and our care and love, right? Your body's the same way. Like, oh, she's happy that she can feel her toes. What else can I do for her? Because your body knows how to heal and it'll go, oh, well, let's work on the hands next. So it may not be immediate, but that gratitude, if you build that muscle and you stay focused on it, it's actually going to have a physiological impact. It's going to feel great because you're in a better mindset, but it actually changes the body, which is like mind blowing.
Yeah, it's very interesting because a lot of the power of healing is in speech. Speech create, right? God created the world with word.
Yeah.
So what we speak can kill and can heal. And it's a strength that we all have. It's a power that it's within us, and it's a choice that we make. I always say, if you go, my WhatsApp status is joy is a choice. Always to remind myself, my joy is my choice. I choose it every day if I feel joy or if I don't feel joy. We had an experience, the two of us together,
Yeah.
because before my daughter's wedding, I had COVID about a month before. It was the first time I had COVID. I think I had twice, and I suffer from asthma, and I couldn't speak. I could not speak. And the whole time I was telling you my asthma, which is not mine. And you kept saying to me, why are you calling it mine? Well, like it's yours. It's like nobody can take it away from you because it's my asthma. And it's no longer my asthma. Is sometimes I experience asthma, but it is not
Good.
mine. I released it. It was one appointment in which I said, it is not mine. I don't want it. I'm not holding on to it. I'm giving it
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And we started that session and I couldn't speak. I told you, you want to do a session, but I'm going to have to write what you speak and I'll answer via chat. And I could not speak because I could not breathe. And at the end of the session, I was speaking, and it was all about the energy and the release of trauma and fear. And because I was so fearful, I didn't want to ruin things for my daughter. The wedding times emotions are very delicate, and there's too many people, and people didn't know each other. She married somebody from out of the country. I didn't know the parents. We had never met, and I was so scared to do something that would impact my daughter in a bad way. You see, that's my still within the period where I define myself as a mother. So it was all about motherhood, and it was not at all about me. So now it's things are changing, but how we speak it, how we speak, we have to pay attention to our words because we go through the day making statements that are killing us, and people just don't realize because they think that this is an exaggeration, right? But when I'm saying my whatever, my bad thing, then it's mine. Nobody can take away. Nobody, no medications will take it away because I called it. It's mine. And how do we go through life releasing these bad things and then you know rearranging it in our minds so we can believe? Because also, I don't believe that if we state lies that it's going to work, because we can say it things that we don't believe it, but if we know in our hearts yeah. I'm saying these things, but I know it's not true. That's not gonna help in any way, right? We need to believe it. So we need to find something within the situation, within the bad, within the tragedies, within the ailments, to find out how can this be good. And I want to share something personal. In a way, it could be really embarrassing, but I'm not embarrassed of anything. I'm really not. You want to judge me? Go ahead. But I fell very recently. I fell for a scam, an online scam, and I lost a lot of money, guys.
Oh,
Whatever you think, whatever you think, it's way more. Six figures, okay? And this was money that I had put away and worked to do something, and I ended up falling for a scam. And I am usually so careful. So how can somebody so careful that does checks this ends up falling for a scam? And then how do you recover from it? Now, I want to put things in perspective. My husband doesn't work. Everything is on me. We went through a lot, right? So here I am building my businesses, and then all is gone. All is gone. And so this is what Kaley said before. We have to acknowledge the pain. We have to sit in the pain. We never just blow it off. So I gave myself a good 2 days in which I literally thought I was going to die. My physical heart ached so much. I felt it was being strangled. And then I focused on what I'm grateful for. And there is so much to be grateful for. To start, I had that money to lose. So many
I
people,
do.
so many people never saw that much money in the bank, right? Literally, it wasn't my health, it wasn't my life, it wasn't my children's life. Things go. We pay for things in this world, but the
Yeah,
world to come is really in my opinion, the prize. Here we have a job, right? And we're just here fulfilling this job. And it was my job to be tested in that way and see if I'm working my whole life in building resilience. If this was something that I felt that it was important, the question is, can I be resilient and bounce back from something like that? Can I be resilient when my husband had strokes? Can I be resilient when a business fails? Can I be resilient in those moments? And if every time we're building this strength and we can be resilient and we can find the good and we can find the silver lining within the adversity, we just grew as humans. We just became more. And and then we can heal. Then we can
yeah,
really heal.
yeah,
Because we're shedding, right? Every bad things that happens to us, we need to see this as shedding and
yeah,
letting go of a layer that no longer serves us. And
yeah,
that served me and it wasn't mine. And it's okay. My father was once on a plane with a multi-billionaire. That man owned the biggest lingerie company in Brazil at that time and a lot more, but this was his main business. And this he was my father's client and he had lost millions. They had a court and they ended up losing millions. And the man was totally fine. He's sitting with my father and he was totally unfazed. And my father knew that it was a substantial amount of loss. And my father asked him, how can you be okay? And he said, I lost the golden eggs, but I still have the goose. And it's a message for us because we lost, we're at older ages, we lost time, we lost vitality, we lost health, but we still have the ability to change our mindset today and have
mhm,
an incredible future from now on. So we still have what it takes to make our lives wonderful. And people like Kaley is gifts that there is all around us that we can choose to attach ourselves to help us with the healing. And I sincerely feel that it is a choice, right? Joy is a choice, health is a choice, our friends are a choice, our community is a choice, what we think is a choice. And people have the ability to make this choice because people think that we have weaknesses, but the the fact is that those tragedies that happens, those are opportunities for strength. If we're
Yes.
going to embrace them, right, that is when that's where we find our strength. It's the choice that we make. So I wanted to ask you, when did you decide to become a coach? And I just want to say a quick thing about that. Before I wrote my book, I did 2 years of research. And in these 2 years, and then I did another year, but before the book was 2 years. And the research was the following. I was going to meet women thrivers who had gone through tremendous adversity. And I wanted to learn how they went from complete brokenness and shatteredness to feeling as thrivers. And one of the things that I found is that 100% of the women, not 90, not 95, 100% of them, their profession, whatever it is that they occupy themselves with, is exactly in the field, in the area that they were the most broken. It's not that they put it away. It's not that they didn't want to talk about it anymore and hide it from their lives. That became center stage with what they were doing. And in a way, this is exactly what you're doing. Today, you are a healer and you're a coach in the exact area that brought you a very difficult childhood and past. So
Yeah.
tell me how you got into that, how you decided to become this healer, to become this coach, and to really make it your whole life about this healing process.
I didn't decide.
No?
No, he decided.
Okay.
The divine decided for me. Um, you know, I didn't, it's very weird. You know, a lot of people are scared to talk about illness, like to tell, I can tell you how many clients come to me and like they haven't told a family member, they didn't tell their cousins, nobody knows. I get like you guys, there are celebrities that I've worked with that no one can know that they're dealing with symptoms, you know? And so, okay, and I don't think it's the healthiest way, but to each their own. And again, a lot of it is because of what you're talking about, is once you can define the meaning and look at how, when you can look at how something has changed your life and what, and give it meaning, and the meaning of anything is just what you give it, it's going to change everything around the circumstances. So, so for me, when I first like when I realized the day that I realized I was healthy, I was done. I was just like so excited to just go live my life. And then, and I never expected a doctor to change my diagnosis. Well, that day was like when my neurologist changed my diagnosis, I was already in a state of I'm totally healthy and fine. I didn't say anything to him. I just kept going to my appointments and I just was like living my life. And then, but that day when he said that, I literally, it was a doctor appointment. I was going to go back to the office. I didn't go back to the office. I went and I sat on the beach and I just cried for hours and hours. And I realized something like way beyond what I could conceive was happening. Like, I didn't even know what. I just realized, like, I just came face to face with God. That's what it felt like to me. I was like, He just came down and came face to face with me and said, I'm going to hand you this miracle, an open, clear miracle that can be publicized. It's not, no one can doubt you, no one can question, it's right there. And even though I had no idea what that would mean or what I was going to do with it, I knew he was sort of giving, like putting me on a mission. I felt like, okay, I just got the job. I was just hired for a job I didn't know I was looking for. And again, I had no idea what that was going to look like. And and so, you know, I was saying before, a lot of people don't talk about illness. Everyone in my world knew about illness. I was the poster child. I was front and center. It was my whole life. It's just I was very open about it since I was diagnosed. But I was actually nervous to share about the healing, even though a neurologist changed it. And And for good reason. I mean, people had really intense reactions, really intense reactions. They were scared for me that I was like given false hope. People like, and it was just their own fear, their own stuff, or their own loved one who was living with a diagnosis. And so, how come Kaley and not me or not her? Or I had such intense pushback, and I was judged way more for being healthy than for being sick, which is like such a reflection of our society. And so I didn't talk about it a lot. I really kept it to myself. I invited some people. I did like a little, we call it a Sodato Day. I gave thanks. I did some like something publicly to give thanks and give that credit. The miracle is God's miracle. And so I did that, but I didn't, it's not like you guys see me. I'm very open about it now. I was not. Like nobody knew. I was doing my fundraising and like this was just like this thing in the background. But people started asking questions like, what do you mean she's healthy? They would ask my roommate, what do you mean she's healthy now? Like, what does that mean now? Like what, or my parents. And so two people came to me and basically just begged that I work with them and do with them what I did. And I was like, look, I don't know if this is going to work for you. Because the whole time I wasn't thinking, let me crack the code on healing illness. The whole time that I was in my healing journey, I was like, I was following, divine guidance and like, I will try anything. What will it take? Okay, I'm gonna have to learn to feel my feelings. That sounds horrible, but fine, I'll do it. Like this is the most painful thing ever. I would have much preferred a pill. Fine, I'll do this. But I wasn't thinking, how can I create a methodology for someone else? So when these two people asked, I mean, literally they begged because I was like, no, like, how can I can't take that responsibility. They were like, it's not on you, but I will do anything you say. Both of them said that to me. I will do anything that you tell me to do. I will do it. It's like, okay, let's try it. And they started getting better. And I was just like, okay, maybe this is part of why the diagnosis was changed. Maybe this is part of what God was setting me up for. And things just continue to unfold. And I have to be honest with you, I think I still don't even know what the full picture is. I think that this week I'm only starting to put together a new layer of that. Meaning, I started coaching. I started saying, "Oh my gosh, this is going to help others. I can help people heal. I can, and like, who else can do that? You know how many people talk about health and wellness, but they themselves didn't face illness, and also they aren't articulate, and also they don't understand science. I was obsessed with science growing up, and it's like I started to realize all these pieces came together, and Hashem, the divine had this plan for me. I had no idea. It wasn't what I thought I was ever going to do, but I loved it. I mean, what's better than watching people experience miracles? So that's how I became a coach. And like one thing led to the next. And like here we are today. So that's how it happened.
Amazing. What do you want from this summit? What is the big picture? I'm curious about your concept, the big picture. Tell us about it.
There were a few things for me with the summit. One was realizing that, I'm not, first of all, I'm not everybody's messenger. I'm not here to be everybody's guide, but maybe
Mhm.
I can still inspire people to go find their path. And that's why we brought in so many speakers, the ones that I personally think are the best in the world. And maybe at least they'll do it with them. And the thing is that the most important piece to healing is belief, believing that it's possible. And so I thought, how can I help people believe that this is possible? Because a lot of people listen to me, but then it's just Kaley. It's just her one story. And I'm not just one story. I'm not. I'm one of millions. Actually, we just don't hear their stories all the time. And really my vision for the summit was let's inspire people to know that it's possible. Just to know that it's possible. If in one talk someone heard this week, look, we had a woman share this week that she healed cancer within 6 months without medications. Like, and that's just one of the stories. It was session after session after session of absolute miracles, understanding our bodies, learning how they work. And then, yeah, my vision was I got to get this to the masses. It's not enough of just whoever works with me or whoever takes my course, because that's just whoever I was aligned for and whoever also was brave enough to go do that heavy lifting. That's not always easy. But if I can instill belief, then even if that person doesn't work with me, their journey has already begun. They've already opened the door to health. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense because one of the things in my research that I found was that the people that went through things, right? Adversities, health issues, whatever it is, we feel that if our story will help one person, it's worth it. Like, what does it mean it's worth it? It's not worth it. It's like, I don't want to have gone through that, but I went through that. So then I want bigger meaning to my story. I want my story to be able to heal somebody else, because then I can accept that I was challenged in that way.
Yes.
You were challenged in a way, and it was a difficult upbringing physically and emotionally, right? On you, on your parents. And
Yeah.
we want to say, okay, we want this to be worth it. And for
Yes.
it to be worth it, we want to see mass healing in other people. We want our stories to impact them.
Yes, 100%. What you said is so, so powerful. It's like, it's worth it. And every time we have, I have a course called Get Your Body Back. We have our live sessions on Thursdays, usually right now. So they've all been postponed. But when we hear it, like every week, people share wins in the beginning. I mean, my students will tell you, if you guys are in the chat, you can attest to this. Like, I cry through those moments. Like, to hear someone walking again, to hear someone loving their job again, to hear someone getting time with their kids again and having energy again. It's like, it's worth all of it. It's worth all the heartache. It's worth the nights in the hospital. It's worth all of it to know that somebody else could get their health back, even for a day, even for an hour, totally worth it. And um, what's crazy is that the timing of this is not random. And my husband pointed this out to me this morning. And we call it, or it's called the Health Now Summit, which is crazy that like I was already planning to do this before the whole Make America Healthy Again got launched. And one of our speakers, Kelly Gallagher, worked very hard on RFK's confirmation, and she's been part of a team for a long time. And I told everyone like on Instagram, I'm like, you guys, I don't care about the politics. It's not about politics for me. To be at a time where there's someone like who's coming in with RFK's perspective and experience. It's like this is a mind-blowing time to like be alive. And so I couldn't have known the timing and how it all aligned. But part of it also was not just I want to inspire people that they can heal, Miriam. Part of it is I've come to learn over the last few years working with clients, doing my courses, is that we are all of us who are self-healers, becoming self-healers, we are all part of a much larger divine plan. And we are all supposed to be experiencing health and healing right now. The Lubavitcher Rebbe said that we're all going to see spontaneous remission in our lifetime. This is going to start to happen. And there was a medical conference that one of the speakers got up and said, "Hey, have you guys been seeing this lately?" And all the hands went up. Like just people are just getting better. What's going on? What's happening? And I really believe that we're the pioneers of that. We're at the forefront. And that was also why I wanted to do this summit is like, let's speed this up. Let's get this moving. And so the crazy thing about the timing is this was supposed to be 2 days, then it became 3 days, then it became 4 days, and now here we are on day 5. I couldn't have known that on February 20th, when we first set out to do this, that this would be our conversation. And if you look at the Hebrew date, it's Chaf Beis Shvat, the 22nd of Shvat, and which has a lot of significance in the Jewish world, and has the extra beautiful energy and power of Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, a leader, one of the leaders of like the Jewish mystical movement, and the Jewish world in general. But there's a daily study that Jews read and practice. It's called Hayom Yom, and it was compiled, I should say, by the Lubavitcher Rebbe. Today's, okay. So you guys, this is like we read a little bit every day. We learn a little bit every day. Just bring everyone there because I know not everyone here is Jewish. This is something we learn a little bit of every day. And my husband sent it to me this morning. He's like, "You get ready for this one. It's gonna blow your mind." Today's talks about the power of the body to heal and the power that we have to heal today today. And there's a question asked, how come it's a specific verse that's referenced? Why does the verse get repeated, that healing is possible? Why does it get repeated twice? Why is it twice? And there's the reason that the study says, Hayom Yom says. And you know what I was thinking, just as I'm listening, and in our conversation, I'm thinking, because I think that what's happening is God is saying that we're both doing the healing. He's doing the healing and I'm doing the healing. That's why it's repeated. That we're partners in that. It's just like, it's not random that that was today. I mean, so that's also the reason for the summit is that like, we're all part of this unfolding. Like, I really feel like I'm part of this divine plan. And I'm not saying that from a place of ego. It's like, he said, Kelly, you have a job to do. And guys, I'm telling you, it's exhausting. I'm careful of my words, but I know my body needs a break. I know my son needs a break. I'm aware of all of that. And I'm asking him for lots more energy and resources to continue this. But I think I realized way more this week as it has unfolded that like, oh, no, we are part of this and we are part of continuing to create this reality in in in, in global consciousness as we know it. We're transforming it, we're changing it as it was divinely appointed, but we have to create that.
I believe in that so much. I mean, um, we were placed here to be community, to be together, to support each other through experiences. It's not supposed to be poof, just a miracle, an obvious miracle. It is everything a miracle, but it's
Yeah.
supposed to be with those vessels, right? With those messengers, with those avenues that God so beautifully meticulously chose. And that is also um, everything. It's with purpose. It was very interesting. Today, my daughter she was late for school because it's every Monday and Wednesday she's late for school. And I'm okay with that. I'm an unschooling mom. And
I
I'm like,
love it. I love it.
and so she goes and she gets dressed and she comes out with an orange t-shirt. Now I'm looking at this and I see the Bibas family, right? Now the interesting thing was that my mother hated the color orange and she never let me wear orange. So I ended up never buying for my kids. So she went by herself and she brings this orange t-shirt home. And this was a while ago. And I'm like, oh, I love that for you that you went and you like it and
Wow.
I love that because I just I followed and then
Wow.
but she wears it, the kids today have millions of shirts and then she chose this shirt today and and
Wow.
it was and it was a great opening for me to tell her what happened and then how do we grieve, how do we tell our kids, how do we share it in a way that it's not going to make them sick, it's going to make them sad, but it's not going to make them sick and they are going to be able to figure out how to go from here. And I think that nothing is random. Nothing is random. The people that are here needed to be here. And I told you, I spoke to you about it, right? I'm not concerned. I don't need to prepare for this because the words are not words, I said, God will tell me what to say and what to share, which story to
Yeah.
share. And it's
Yeah.
not something that we prepare for because we are accepting that we're just here as messengers and we just want to do good and we're all interconnected. I know that you have a testimonial coming, and I really think this is a vital part because when we're talking about our work, we're talking from our perspective and from our experience. But if we want to impact other people, we want them to hear from those who have experienced, our talents and how they affected them. So I understand that Shuki is here, and yeah, I'm here. I'm reading what you're writing. I am in Florida.
Well,
um,
someone was sharing that. Okay, I didn't know if you could see the chat. She said, You're so beautiful inside out. Thank you for being here." And the person who wrote it is in Florida. So I was like, "Oh, you guys have to connect."
okay, so I'll have to read all of that after. So please, I would love to add Shuki. Okay, what happened here? Sorry.
Hi.
Hi, Shuki. So, tell us about yourself and your experience. I am so curious. I want to learn from you.
First, just a wave of emotion just hit me. And it's a place of gratitude to be here. I told Kaley this morning, we spoke a little bit, and it hit me like last night that I was going to be sharing today. And it hit me that I'm like the last speaker of this wonderful week. And I apologized to her. I said, like, I'm sorry, like, I feel like I'm going to be stealing your thunder like that, in the sense of that I'm the one to close out this week that you put all this work in, but it's it's for a reason. Like, I don't, like, it's meant to be. And I just am honored, really, to be that vessel. I mean, we were talking about vessel earlier. Like, it's not a coincidence that it's me. I so about me, I gotta let the emotion go. But anyway, about me. So I early on as a little kid, I was always tired and just, never, there was always something kind of underneath the surface. But to kind of just speed up the story, I was about 16 maybe, and I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, which then really was turned into a true diagnosis of Crohn's disease. Um, Spent my senior year of high school in and out of the hospital, surgeries, and then really, even into like my mid to like late 20s was just thankfully no more hospitalizations, or maybe there were, I can't remember anymore. But it was just always like one treatment after another, one pill, more chemicals pumped into my body. And it was always like in the back of my mind, I was always somehow, just like I put in the chat, glass is half full, with unlimited refills, just always still, staying positive. Of course, there were those moments where I was like angry and mad at the world and, like, why me? I mean, we go through those emotions, but still kind of positive, and always had this like little thought of like, mind over matter, right? I would say that all the time. But I didn't really truly understand it. I just knew intuitively that there was something more, that these chemicals and these drugs weren't necessarily the answer. And it was like this, again, this divine intervention. I mean, Kaley and I crossed paths. Geez, I'm dating myself, but Kaley can correct me. Almost 20 years now, I want to say,
Yeah.
just about.
We were in high school.
College, Queens College. So like,
Really? That's when we
yeah.
met? Oh, that makes sense because okay, she's younger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
I was
was part
my
of
high school friend.
that
He was in college.
the
Okay.
MS walk, and like, so I mean that was my connection to Kaley. And I don't think either of us sitting here today would, like, if we like had like, hey, we're going to be like having this conversation in 20 years from now, we'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, get out of here, right? And it was just like really a coincidental connection that we had. And Kaley went on with her life, and I went on with my life, and I was dealing with my own, finding that, like, that cure, finding that one thing, like, I was looking for that magic pill that would just cure everything and just like let me live a normal life, is what I was searching for. I think what we're all here searching for. And and then it was Kaley, was on her journey, and I remember hearing that. I'm like, oh, I'm intrigued, because we were connected through social media on Facebook and whatnot. And then at some point, Kaley reached out to me in the earlier days of her journey of then sharing with everybody. And I was like, no, I'm not, like, this is too like weird for me. I don't mean, I'm like, yeah, you're cured, but like, really, like, I don't know. Like, I just wasn't in that space. And just over like a little under 4 years ago, it was for me, like, I embarked on a new career path, and there was a lot at stake, still is. And I really said to myself, I was in the shower. I remember I was like, I cannot keep doing what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is nothing consequential. I can't afford to not figure out my health and still go on with my life, because like there's so much at stake with this new job. Like, I need to figure something out where I'm like healthy, where I can feel confident that I can live my life the way I'm supposed to live. And that's when I reached out to Kaley. I reached out to her, and it just so happened that she was running, I think I was in the second course, right? That you did. And now here I am today. And I guess I'm sorry, long way of saying where I'm at. But
Doing
for
great.
me, the healing journey was like so much stuff that we've talked just today, this whole week, of it's really the mindset. And for me, it's the way that we speak, the way that we view ourselves. I'm still on this healing journey. I don't want you to like think that I'm here and like everything is, completely roses. I still have my bad moments. That's just part of being human. But it's been a huge mind shift. Like when I tell people, like, what, you're not on any medication, and like, wait, but you used to be sick. And it's like, yes, used to, right? In the past, because it's that self-image of, I don't see myself in that light. Do I have symptoms? I do. I'll admit it. I do have symptoms, but to me, that's just, it is what it is, but I don't see it as being sick. And that shift of like, I was sick, I am not sick, I am healthy. And that was really where it all started, the healing of really viewing myself in a different light. And really, like Kaley would said, today, like changing the narrative, changing that like identity, that illness identity, is really probably the biggest first step that anybody can do for themselves. And just in that little thing, which is not so little, really is the door to so much healing, because then you open yourself up to so much more than you ever thought. Like my life couldn't be any better, because it's not just, how I see myself, but how I am more in tune to things that are nurturing and good, as in good energy, versus negative energy, of just being very aware, with almost no effort. And it takes work, like you have to put in the work. So, this is a journey. This me would not be having this conversation 3.5 years ago at all. But when you really start to change the mindset, and then, and really put in that work, you really get to a point where it does become easy. It becomes effortless, where you'll have an interaction. And then I still do it to this day. I mean, almost daily, I would say, of like, yeah, that was not like a good kind of energy for me. That's like, yeah, we're gonna like, oh wow, that was like amazing, and just being, aware. And so I just want to share that this whole week has been very inspiring to me. It's reaffirmed, that I personally am on the right path. And I promised Kaley I would share like a surprise. Like, to me, my big win that I really want to share with everybody is, the different, I wasn't able to see every speaker, but, starting off the week with Dr. Brad with the emotion code, and then really on, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? I can't remember, when Shelly Malka, you shared like your conversation. Shelly Malka said something that really struck a chord with me and really got me thinking. So one of the things that she said was that she had patients or clients that were literally on their deathbed, and she was begging them to just kind of let go of that emotion, that anger, whatever that piece that they were holding onto, in order to see the healing. And it really resonated with me, because as much as I'm in such a good place, it really was this moment for me of really like internalizing of, I have a lot still that I'm holding on to, and I don't want to be that person. And last night at dinner, sitting across the table from my fiance, I was talking about it, how like that sharing that, like that piece of like, I don't want to be that person, and realizing, kind of thinking back to like what Shelly was saying, or what Dr. Brad was saying, and how we hold on to like these traumas that we don't even realize, that are there, that are these root causes. And I said it out loud of like, okay, this is, maybe not the only trauma, but this was a big piece of what I'm holding on to. And the person that, so to speak, caused this trauma, right? Unintentionally, right? It's not like malicious, but where Kaley will know what I'm talking about, but this radical forgiveness, that we talked about 3 years ago, Kaley. And the big one for me was like, in that moment last night, it was a true release of just that forgiveness, of just acknowledging that wasn't that person. They were just the vessel. Like, it just was what it was, and just feeling this huge relief, off my chest. And so, I guess what I'm saying, so that's just the big win that I just want to share with Kaley, but also just with all of you. There's so much incredible things that were shared this week, and just know that really, when you look inwards, really you can really then grow outwardly. And then just what Miriam was just saying earlier, about just like sharing, like, I think also for me this week too, I feel like also like there's a calling, right? Nothing is random in this world. And like, I feel like now I'm in a place, kind of like Kayla was saying, of like when she was healed, people got all this pushback. I'm now finally starting to be like, I'm owning it. I am healthy. I am on the right path. Like I'm doing like my thing and I'm not sorry about it. Like I'm just not. Like I'm happy, I'm healthy. I will acknowledge those hard, difficult things and process it because that's we have to. You can't ignore those negative things. And trust me, I'm going through a lot right now. But you know, I'll have those moments, but then I sit back and I say, okay, this is happening for a reason. Like I need to go through it, and it might take a week, it may take a month, it may take a year, it may take a lifetime to look back and, oh, that's why. But even just being in that state of mind is huge, and it takes a lot of work, but it's worth it. It's worth it because you don't want to like look back and like, you know, wallow in the negative because you'll get swallowed up in it. And so to everyone who's starting their journey, it really is, you know, there is hope. You know, there are, you know, that's why we're all here. Like there is a path forward. But I think for me, it's the honesty with yourself is where it really begins, to like where you're honest with yourself of like it's not working, and that you like whatever you're doing isn't working, that being honest with yourself and not kind of holding on to that, like, well, but the doctor said, almost, you know, being honest with what you want for yourself. And then starting from that place of honesty with yourself is really where the whole journey starts. And it is a journey that is never ending. You know, you're always learning, you're always growing. But, you know, when you may feel isolated, like, and, you know, on your own, but like I have, you know, once you kind of start doing the work, you attract the individuals, like, you know, everyone here, you know, Kaley, Miriam, like, but even just day to day, like the most random, you know, talking about like some person that you would think like would look at you like with four eyes of when you're talking about like tapping, and like it was a coworker of mine, you know, talking and like doing the things like, hey, do you mind like I can show you some like, you know, tapping technique. And he was like, oh yeah, I actually like remember sort of hearing like, yeah, like blew my mind, right? And so you'll attract also, and that also helps in the healing journey as well. You know, when you really start doing the work and being part of like going down this path, you'll also attract, and then it becomes easy.
Yeah.
It's like effortless almost, because you'll attract those people and you can have these conversations, and then it's like, oh yeah, and like you just, you know, like the healing and the knowledge, the people are there.
Yeah.
And you really will start to see it, like really from places least expected.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, sorry for going on and on and on. Any other questions? Because I could clearly go on and on. But really just wanted to just express how grateful I am. And it's been a really incredible week. So thank you, Kaley, for giving me this opportunity to share my story. And there's so much more. Maybe I'll write a book one day.
Yes, do that. Oh my gosh, yes, Shuki, you do need to write a book. Absolutely.
People tell me I need to like have a YouTube channel. I'm like, oh no, I can't be bothered with that. But anyway.
No, you're such an inspiration.
This is so inspiring. How are we doing on time? Do we have a moment for me to say a few words?
Yeah,
And
you
then
can respond. Sure, Miriam. Yeah.
there is a song. There's a song by a singer called Melech Cohn, and he actually sings it in a few languages. That same, you know, few sentences, and he says maybe the reason of your being is the place where you are right now. And I think that if we always think about where we are right now, what we're going through right now, the difficulties that we're going through right now, maybe there is something in it that this is the reason why you were here. So everything that Kaley went through in her childhood, that was the reason for her being here, right? The stories that I had to go through my healing, well, that was the reason. It brought a book and a course and a clothing line and whatever. Whatever you are going through right now, maybe it's the reason why you're here. This song, it was about Esther, the queen, right? And it was saying to her, you know, maybe to save the Jews from that period of time in history, maybe is the reason why you had to be in the situation to have to marry a king who was older, who killed his previous wife. It wasn't a great situation. You know, think about it. She was being raped. She didn't want it intentionally to be intimate with this man, but maybe, you know, for the bigger part of her story, being the savior, maybe it was the reason why she was there. So every time when you're going through something and experiencing something hard, maybe, maybe the reason
Mm.
being here is within that pain and you know, and then do the work, heal, and then go and take your voice and take your experience like Shuki did here, like I did here, and share that this person was a healer and now it can heal other people. Kaley, thank you so much for the honor of being here. You are a powerhouse. You are gold, you know, you are gold. Like I see the people, and when we see the cracks and we look at the gold of all of these people that helped with the healing and the mending, you are definitely the gold, the healing and the mending.
Wow.
I
Mm.
appreciate you so much.
And I
Oh,
just want to
wow.
add one more thing because before
Yeah.
Kaley forgets, your workshop, Kaley.
Yeah, no, I
Yes.
will. I'll
Okay.
say thank
I
you.
didn't forget.
Mhm.
No, thank you. Miriam, thank you for saying that. And what you're saying, Miriam, is like, you know, that message for everybody here is like y to be able to zoom out and see that there's a reason for what you're going through in your life right now is probably the most important thing you can do for yourself. Is the most
Mhm.
important thing you can do for yourself, for your healing, for your body, for your family, for your future. And I think the biggest block to being able to do that is our limiting beliefs, is our stuck emotions, is just decades of saying, like your husband was saying, like, oh, I had a stroke. So this, like you just, it becomes like you don't even realize you're saying it.
Mhm.
And so I think, you know, so that's actually exactly what Shuki's bringing up, the workshop. So I want you guys to take this further. I know that it can be one overwhelming to hear so many speakers and be so inspired and like, oh, I could call the dentist. Oh, I can call the cellular detox specialist. Oh, I can go here. Oh, I can start tapping. Let me get a new therapist. Like it could be, you can call everyone this week and it can be overwhelming. Where do you begin? Who do you start with? So that's first. But then secondly, it's, but I've been in this for so long. It's all I've known. And this isn't conscious, right? But I'm scared. You know, what if I can't have the success that Shuki has? What if I never get to go off medications? What if I can't be that person? Some of you are going to go the opposite and be like, I want to be the testimonial. I've had plenty of you do that and email me and be like, I'm going to be your testimonial a year from now. Sign me up. Where can I go? You know? But so to me, the most important thing that we do next from here, if you haven't taken Get Your Body Back, if you haven't worked with me one-on-one, the most important thing that we do from here is this workshop. We're going to work with those limiting beliefs. That's the most important. We're going to do a lot that day. The first thing we're going to do is work with any limiting beliefs. And some of you, someone said in the chat, like, what if I don't really trust that this is real, even after, excuse me, a whole week, which was my
I'll
whole.
just say that I was super skeptical myself. And even after finishing Kaley's course, I had moments of like, what is going on here? This is too like out there. This is too hokey. But I guess like really just, yeah, just really you have to just trust, you know, I like for me, I would say I didn't think of myself as a religious person. Um, but and I don't practice anything religiously, but I am religious, I'm spiritual, and I really do believe in that higher power. And you really like when you believe in that higher power, there's your answer.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, 100%. And and I think that, you know, well, I guess I'll just say from my own life experience, that doesn't just happen. It doesn't just come so easily. It takes work. Even Shuki, you're saying, even going through my entire course, like after there were moments of like, wait, is this real? So we're going to spend a day together integrating what happened this week because it cannot just stay here. If you guys just got inspired, great, but it's not enough. And you know, I was reflecting also like, am I satisfied with the results of this week? Honestly, no. I think it was a mind-blowing week. I don't think it's enough. I want way more people to know about this. I want way more people hearing these speakers, and I want more speakers, and I want to keep going. But we have to make sure at the very least, before I move on to the next summit, that we don't leave the summit behind, that, that it isn't just, I got a lot of great inspiration, and then you just go back to your life the way it was. So you're going to have a week now, a week from today, reflect on these experiences, reflect on these speakers. And then I want you in that workshop where we're going to deal with all of your limiting beliefs. We're going to deal with, do I deserve to heal? But look at all the, but I have, my life is, I've had people say this to me, guys. I've had millionaires say, but my life is so good. I have so much blessing. Maybe the health is like, I'm just supposed to have something. Like maybe that's why I'm sick. I have to have something. And then if I get healthy, am I going to lose the money? Like these are real things that you don't know are there. They're deep down. Okay. So you might call the dentist, but then put off that appointment for months and months and months. I would rather us deal with all the limiting beliefs, get you on your healing path. We're going to make your plan that day. And if you're confused, who do I call first? We're going to clarify it that day. Okay. So I want you to be in that workshop with me. Let's start your journey. That's why it's health now. Don't wait a year. Okay. Don't wait the 18 years that I did. Shuki knew for years and was like, it's not for me. I'm not doing it. Okay. But how much sooner could you have also been healthy? How much sooner could have I have been healthy? Look, everything is divine timing, but you're here now. There's a reason that every single one of you was here, not just this week, but today to hear Miriam as well. Every single one of us is here for a reason right now. And I think also it's not random, like today of all days where we also mourn. It's like we have to make our lives matter and count. And honestly, I think one of my biggest pet peeves, and it's also with a lot of compassion, so it's a mixture, is when people say, but I can't do what I want to do because I'm sick. Once I'm better, I'll do all those things I'm passionate about. We can't afford that. We can't afford that. We need you to be you. The world needs you to be you, fully in your mission, fully in your purpose. So I would like to cut out this waiting game. Please come join us at the workshop. Please, please, please. Shuki put the link in the chat. We're going to send it to your email as well. If you were invited to the workshop by one of the other speakers or by one of our affiliates, they're going to send you the link, okay? Because it's my only way of thanking them, guys, like full disclosure, full transparency. Most summits upsell the replays and don't give them to you for free or don't even let you in for free, okay? To me, you have to have this information, okay? There's no way I'm making you pay for this information. It's your body, it's your divine birthright. You have to know this. That part is free. So none of our speakers got compensated. And by the way, they were like all excited to be part of this. That's like the most incredible thing. They were just like, yes, this is so important. I'm in. Tell me where I'm there, right? But I do want to thank them for their time. And so that's why I want you to click on their affiliate link when you get the invite, if they're the ones that brought you to the summit. That's one way that I have of thanking them. And we should all be thanking them for their time and the gift that they've given in sharing here with all of you. So that's the workshop. You got to be there. You got to be there. I think it's an important first step. Even if I'm not your person, even if you don't want to get your body back, and for you it's not the mind body direction, we got it's like Dr. Carotola said, he can go heal the cavitation and remove a cavitation from your mouth, but do you believe you can heal? That's the work we're going to do in that workshop. So that's the
Yeah,
workshop.
Kaley, something that we did not discuss, but I want to do something for you. Not,
Okay.
not just for you, but the people that are here, okay? I
Okay.
am gift. The first person that joins will get my course for free, okay?
Wow.
That is over $1,000. They'll
Oh
get
my
it
gosh.
free, but they have to sign up today. Okay, so
Yes.
you will tell me who was the first person who signed up today, and I'll give them entry to the course. The second
Okay.
person who will sign up today will get a copy of my book signed.
Oh my
Okay,
gosh, this is so exciting.
so you tell me who they are, their email address of the first one, and then the second one, their physical address, and I will send it to them. It has to be the first two people that sign. It has to be today.
This is amazing. This is amazing. Let everyone know very quickly about your course so that they know what it is that they're getting, and also in case they're not signing up, how they can hear about your course. Someone's asking, so in the chat, I want them to know.
So my course is about kintsugi healing for ourselves. So kintsugi is when the pottery breaks, right? The Japanese put the pottery together, and there's a whole process on how to do the art. It's not a simple process. It takes a long time to do it. And once it's done, the pottery is worth a lot. So I really learned, and I met with a Japanese kintsugi master to learn about the process of the kintsugi. And I realized that the process of healing the mind is the same process of fixing the pottery. So I created a course. It's 8 modules. It's a lot of work. It is not easy. There is a lot of homework. And the course is a few parts. You have the information about each section based on the kintsugi pottery. You get to build the kintsugi pottery, but it's making it while understanding how it connects to the emotional work that we're doing. And we also created a custom meditation based on kintsugi, on the 8 steps of the kintsugi process. So it's very comprehensive. It is not it's an easy, simple course, but it's not easy to put into practice, but it's more about your emotional state. And then the book, it is similar a little bit. It brings some of the examples of the stories of the women that I interviewed and the 10 commonalities between them that made them thrive after adversity. So hopefully it's going to be a good complementary gift for the work that you do.
Well, that is amazing. That's that's absolutely incredible. And we actually already have the first sign up, Tvia Naftali. So she is going to be getting your course. That's
Amazing. Send
amazing.
me her email
Congratulations.
and I will gift it to her. I'll do it today.
That is so exciting. This is amazing.
I,
Wow. Amazing, Miriam. That is just like so generous of you. That is so,
I,
so generous of you. Thank you so much. And I had no idea, you guys. That's a total surprise to me. That's
yes.
such an amazing gift. Like that's such an amazing gift. And of course, I mean, I obviously agree. Nothing's better than to get to learn from Miriam is so special and so what an amazing opportunity. And I just want to say thank you to all of you. As I shared, like, how did I become a coach? I don't know. He told me to, Um, how did I do this? I don't even remember how the idea came in. It came to me over a year ago. I've been waiting so long for this to happen. And the divine, I mean, how quickly people said yes was shocking. And I was like, oh, I guess I'm also supposed to be doing this. Um, which has been really, really fascinating and interesting to see the unfolding. And I know that it's just the beginning. And so I just want to share with everybody here, like, thank you. Thank you to everyone here that you've been part of this week, part of this unfolding. I feel, I don't even know how to, there's not a word for what I feel. I feel weird. I feel extremely expansive. I feel very grounded, but I don't feel like, physical, if that makes any sense. I feel really light. I feel light and I feel like light. And I feel like there's some kind of weird other dimension that I've been in this week where I feel like I'm observing it at the same time of like something really massive is happening. And we're all here at the forefront, and all these speakers came together for it, and then all of the listeners and all the attendees, and something really profound is happening that I don't even think we really know yet. And so I just want to thank all of you for being here in that moment, bearing witness to it, and being at this pivotal moment throughout in history. I think something big is happening. So just thank you, all of you, for being here along the journey with me and for trusting me.
Thank you for this honor of being here with you in this special moment. Thank you, Shuki, for your amazing testimonial, and I wish you continue healing and success in your business. I saw in the chat, somebody asked me about where to find my course. It's at healwithgold.com. You can get information there. Here to help anybody.com, not .co.
Yeah, I'm gonna change it. I hit
Okay.
send too soon. And also thank you, Miriam, for doing this. You guys, she took this time out, which is so
My,
special. We had to go to her car without internet. And also I want to give a big thank you to Basia. Just so you guys know, like this was a massive, massive like production endeavor. It might seem like there's like a massive team pulling this off. It's really Basia and I. I mean, we're constantly on top of like our web team, but it's really a two-person job. So if you're talking to her on email, please thank her. So she also gets a lot of credit for making this possible. But Miriam, thank you. Thank you
my
for saying
pleasure.
this.
My pleasure. Good luck, everybody, in your healing.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.